The pandemic forced a large percentage of the population into remote work, which experts expect to persist even after COVID-19 subsides. As Brock Turner reports, many cities are doubling down on quality of place investments to attract remote workers, but their limited budgets could be stunting growth.
Sullivan, Indiana's town square looks like so many others. Law offices, restaurants, and stores surround the courthouse. But behind these modest marquees is a transition largely out of public view. Sullivan and dozens of other Indiana cities have subtly shifted the way they think about economic development and attracting new residents. It started years ago, and like so many other things, the pandemic has only accelerated it.
We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, we're just trying to reinvest in our community, increase the quality of life, and statistics are telling us right here in the city of Sullivan that while we might have declined in population over the decade, from 2010 to 2020, we've actually gained population every single year, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20 and 21.
In a place like Sullivan, stopping the bleeding is significant. The city is in transition as one of its largest employers, a coal plant, is set to close next year. Instead of throwing money and incentives at another large employer, Lamb is hoping to reduce blight and invest in projects that improve the quality of place.
What you hear in a lot of communities, and I'm sure I can speak for a lot of mayors, is somebody needs to come in and do something with that building. Somebody needs to come in and invest and give me a job.
Since assuming office 10 years ago, Lamb has created a civic center and encouraged businesses to relocate to the town square. He's hoping to lure residents here to the square and recreate a central business district that's connected to other amenities. An aquatic center and trails are currently under construction, a stone's throw away.
The political ideology, it never lines up exactly. We don't like leeches, we don't want handouts, but by golly, we want somebody else to come in here and invest.
Ball State economics professor Michael Hicks says that is exactly the right approach, especially post-COVID.
Sullivan doesn't need to be like Carmel, doesn't need to be like Manhattan. If you wanted to live in Manhattan, you're not going to move to Sullivan. But there are a lot of Americans, an abundant number of Americans who want to live in a clean, safe place with decent schools where they can know their neighbors. Indiana ought to be thriving on that.
But that's at odds with the approach some state lawmakers are taking. The General Assembly has largely focused on cutting taxes in hopes of attracting those big fish employers. Indiana has one of the lowest tax rates in the country, and legislation being debated right now at the Indiana State House would cut taxes even more. That's while the state anticipates its surplus exceeding $5.1 billion by the end of the fiscal year. Lower business tax rates mean governments have less money to work with. At the same time, other quality of life metrics are suffering. Fewer than 50% of college students graduate on time, and data shows Indiana ranks 39th in the nation for K-12 funding per student. Late last year, Indiana funneled a large share of federal dollars to local community development projects through its Ready Grant program.
Said one of our number one things we need to focus on is population scarcity and how do we attract more talent to the state of Indiana.
Right. Our ready approvals are complete.
I would project right now that there's another $500 million ready to go. If we would have had $800 million, we could have funded $800 million of quality projects right now throughout the state of Indiana.
Most economic policy experts see a fine line between creating an environment that attracts both workers and businesses while providing resources to retain them.
We need more talent, more people in the state of Indiana to attract more business.
Low taxes can be good for attracting businesses to an area, but lower taxes can limit the amount of money local governments have to invest in quality of place and education, which are key to attracting and retaining outside investment. While Lamb appreciates state partnerships that have created unique spaces here, he and other mayors always wish there were more.
Grants are great, but you have to have something to count on every single year. So you can continue to invest in your community, you can continue to uptick your population, and then it all takes care of itself.
That's why Hicks says state officials should take notice before it's too late.
For Indiana to be successful, we can't just have one big growing metro area. That's Indianapolis. We have to have dozens and dozens of cities around the state that are like Fishers, like Shelbyville, like Sullivan, that are growing, and that is going to take some local fiscal flexibility that we just don't have in our system right now.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Brock Turner.
Now, Greller and other experts say state tax cuts affect individual communities in vastly different ways because each has a different mix of businesses, housing developments, and manufacturing. Now, while that debate continues, work is already being done in a number of communities through the state's Regional Economic Acceleration and Development Initiative, which awarded $500 million to 17 regions around the state. We're joined now by Tina Peterson, the president and CEO of Regional Opportunity Initiatives, Inc. They and their partners helped secure $30 million in READY grants for the Uplands region. Welcome, Tina. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Joe. Thank you very much.
So let's just start. Tell us a little bit about the READY program and what the state is really hoping to accomplish by this.
Yeah, absolutely. Listening to the governor, of course, he's very focused on population growth. And so first and foremost, this was identified as an opportunity for this region really to grow the population we need to support the level of economic development that I think the state believes is necessary. So READY in and of itself was meant to address population growth, to focus on talent, on quality of place, on innovation and entrepreneurship, really as those key elements of economic growth in our community. I think the governor has stated that, he really wants to lead the nation in regional collaboration. And so I think that focus on regionalism was very deliberate on his part.
So your group led the proposal for the Uplands region. That includes Monroe and 10 surrounding counties. How did that proposal come together? How do you get 10 counties talking together?
Well, we're very fortunate, right, in this region. The Indiana Uplands is a region that was formed, in 2015 out of a grant that we received from the Lilly Endowment, a similar type of investment, $42 million, that's seen these 11 counties working together very deliberately during that time period. But I don't want to kid you, getting all those voices heard last summer, right? They announced it in May. We had till June to decide what our region was, which we already knew. And then we had 2 months to put together what for us was a $115 million proposal to the state, hoping that we would receive 50 and thrilled that we received 30. So I'd say we analyzed, we engaged, we looked at our numbers, we looked at where we really have great strength in the region, especially around our key sectors that bring us that opportunity for prosperity. We did a SWOT analysis and we wrote a plan.
Tina, we just have 30 seconds. Where does some of that money go?
We don't know exactly yet, right? The state has decided that the source of funding for this is ARPA. The funding will be available later in the year. It will have to align with the requirements of the federal rescue plan money. So we'll be working on that strategy.
All right, Tina, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.